decided to venture into software, and I started a software company. For some reason, I don't think they could believe that I was the one behind the selling of this machine. And so I don't think that they could trust it. I'm thinking, I am a Black woman in this space where not a lot of Black women are. And I'm going to get out there and people are going to love me. People are going to love having this different point of view, this different, experience with me. And that was just not the case. I was met with a lot of apprehension. People were afraid almost to see me in this space and not trusting of me and what I had to bring to the table.
Were you envisioning helping everyone? Were you envisioning helping only Black women?
When I first became an entrepreneur in the administrative world, I thought that I was going to set out to help Black women administratively. But that did not happen. And so I did not go into the software industry with that. I knew that I would work with women, and I knew my customer base would be primarily Caucasian women. We have been taught to go against each other.
Yep.
It's been ingrained in us. It is, groomed in us. When I work with Black women, it's always kind of like
they don't believe you sometimes, or
they put a little extra stank on it.
A little bit.
a little extra and but they don't trust you. They don't believe you. They're micromanaging you, all of that. And I just don't get that. And I don't want that.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Coffee No Cream podcast, where we are unapologetically dedicated to Black women. And we share what I like to call coffee no cream moments, those moments that happen to Black women in business just because they're Black. My name is Erin Braxton, and today we have a great episode. We have my sister in tech, Shequana Hughes. And because I've chosen to make my living in the tech field, I was really excited about this conversation. And at first we're on the road to talking about how Black women are perceived in tech because we're not seen there so much. But then we sort of veered off into a conversation that I knew we would get to eventually, which was why Black women have issues with other Black women when it comes to business, how we work with each other, the dynamic as we try to do business together. I myself have had several interactions with other Black women in business, and I would love to have a client roster that was full of other Black women, but somehow it doesn't work out that way. When I first started my business, my web design and development business, The Rebel Geek. Now, mind you, this is my second business. My first business, I had a clothing line. So totally different sort of thing. What I had to do was I produced clothes. I designed them. I made them. I was kind of doing all my little work behind the scenes, working with my vendors. I'd make the clothes, I'd ship them, and that was kind of that. But in the service-based field, we have a lot more one-on-one interactions with people as we help them build their ideal web spaces, work on their branding and their marketing online. We do a lot of one-on-one time together. So there's a lot more personality, a lot more interaction on that one-on-one basis. Totally different from making a product and shipping it out to market. And one of the first clients I had, and I talk about this a little bit in the episode, is I had a woman who came to me. She came as a referral, and she had a jewelry business or something like this. And she hired me to work on her website. Now, as usual, I take a deposit up front, and I can only work with you if you allow me to work with you. So I asked to get images, assets, copy, information, logo, never got anything. 6 months later, all of a sudden, she wanted to know more of it. She wanted no parts of it. She wanted her money back. She didn't want me to work on her website. And I tried to ask, I was like, what's going on? Because the project was dead in the water because I didn't have what I needed to complete her website. And she just said, I don't want to work on it anymore. And when I pushed back on her a little bit, because, I'm a small business. So, yeah, you have the deposit. And at that time I was coming off of a bankruptcy, true. That money had been gone, right? It was a deposit. It had been gone. And as a small business owner, you're working against getting the balance. So yes, I have a deposit, but I'm planning against getting the money to finish the project. And I pushed back on her. And then all of a sudden, I think her son had just graduated law school. So she was like, I'm going to sue you. You're a shyster and a fraud and all this stuff. And I was supposed to return some money to her, but I just never did because it was ridiculous. But that was just a very extreme case. And I'm not saying every case is like this, but it is a different dynamic. There is a different level of intensity when we work with Black women. And I don't know why it's like this. I do have an idea, but we're not as supportive with each other as we should be. We're not as supportive in the community as we should be. And I'm not the only one to talk about this. And it was interesting to talk to Shequana about it. And we're going to touch on it. So let me tell you about our guest, Shequana Hughes. So let me put on my glasses because I want to be able to read her information. I don't want to get it wrong. Okay. Shequana is a mom of 5, and she is the CEO that can help women eliminate chaos in their business. She has been in the business as CEO and system strategist for business balance systems for 8 years. And it is her mission to help moms, coaches, consultants, and service providers create business balance. She's helped hundreds of women implement system strategies and software into their life and business in the simplest way possible, simple systems, and has afforded them a business free from chaos, but one that also allows for growth. Sounds pretty amazing to me. Before we get into the episode, please subscribe, please like, please share this with anyone you feel can benefit from listening to our content. Our intention is to grow, help Black women navigate and move through the difficulties and the pushback and struggles that we do have in business as Black women. I would really appreciate it. And I hope you guys enjoy the episode, and I'll see you over there.
Welcome, Shequana.
Hi, Erin. I'm
Hi.
so happy to be here.
I'm so happy you're here. So I'm going to just let you, I know I did the whole intro bio, but maybe you can just take a minute to say it in layman's terms, what all of what I just said means.
I make technology simple for everybody.
They need that.
I make it simple because it is not the easiest thing. It's not the most sexy thing for people, but it is something that they have to have. It's something that they need. And if they don't, they may get left in the dust here over the next 5 to 10 years because technology is not going anywhere. It is only advancing, and your competitors and everyone else is using it, and you need it. And so I make it simple for you to be able to remain relevant and with the times and everything. So that's it in layman's terms.
Yeah. Myself being in the tech industry, I get it. I have seen adults as recently as last night have complete and total meltdowns because they don't like it. It's overwhelming. So what you are doing is definitely needed.
Yes.
So as you know, on the Coffee No Cream podcast, we discuss the coffee no cream moments that we as Black women have. Coffee no cream moments are those things that happen to us just because we're Black women. And we focus on business, but obviously coffee no cream moments can happen every day in all facets of your life. And today, Shequana here is going to share with us one of her memorable coffee no cream moments that she has had in her her work life and her entrepreneurial journey as a woman, as a Black woman in business, as a Black woman in tech. And we know we don't see a lot of that. So this, I know, is going to be good. So let's start with, I'm going to let you take over, Shequana, and tell us what happened, or start us up on the story of what happened to you in tech. Just give us a little something so we can dive in a little deeper.
So I would have to say, first of all, when I was a little girl, tech was not in my future. It was not something that I dreamed of, right? I feel like the tech life chose me. I did not choose it, okay? And so when I got into it, I was bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, but I was also inexperienced, I guess you would say, in navigating the tech world. Not in tech, but just navigating the tech world. And so in 2021, I decided to venture into software, and I started a software company, Business Balance Systems. And getting into that arena was interesting because I'm thinking, I am a Black woman in this space where not a lot of Black women are, and I'm going to get out there and people are going to love me. People are going to love having this different point of view, this different, experience with me. And that was just not the case. I was met with a lot of apprehension, and I don't know the word I want to use, but people were afraid almost to see me in this space and not trusting of me and what I had to bring to the table, which is the same as everyone else in this industry. And it was an eye-opener for me.
Okay, wait. Okay, let's back it up a little bit. Okay, so you decided to go into software. Mm-hmm. So you work in SaaS products. For those of you listening, can you explain what SaaS means to the non-techie individual?
So SaaS actually stands for software as a service, right? And so when you think of something as a service, it is serving you. And so software as a service basically takes a lot of the tools that we use on a day-to-day basis, a lot of different software, and brings those things together to help you, service you. And so it's a tech tool, but it's something that we all need, something that we all use, but it's used as a service. So instead of it being something outside of technology, it's just a technology term that we use. And so that's what I got into. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you decided to get into the software industry, into SaaS tech tools. Mm-hmm. And so what was your vision? Like you said, you were a Black woman. Were you envisioning helping everyone? Were you envisioning helping only Black women? And tell us a little bit about what your vision was for your company.
That is an amazing question. My vision for my company, I've always worked with women. Always gel best with women, always was able to get women and really be able to dig deep and help them. So of course, I knew that I would work with primarily women. I've always wanted to work with Black women. So my background is in administrative support. So I was administrative, secretarial work right out of high school. Made a career out of it before I became an entrepreneur. Okay. And when I first became an entrepreneur in the administrative world, I thought that I was going to set out to help Black women administratively, but that did not happen. That didn't happen, right? And so
I'm laughing, but I'm laughing. I love you, Black women, and this podcast is all for you, but that's probably a whole nother podcast. So,
that didn't happen. And it actually, everything happens the way that it's supposed to, but my primary customer base is Caucasian women.
Right.
And it has always been that way for me. And so when I got into the software industry, I did not set out to do that this time. Because like I said before, when I started my business, it was like, okay, yes, I'm going to be the Black woman's administrative assistant or VA. And that didn't happen. All of my clients were Caucasian women. I love my clients. We always have good rapport and good relationships. And so I did not go into the software industry with that. I knew that I would work with women, and I knew my customer base would be primarily Caucasian women. But I did, reach out to Black women, and it just never worked out, for me. Mm-hmm.
I understand.
Yeah.
I too have had a similar experience. And even in researching for this podcast, I feel like an episode about that is coming. Mm-hmm. Because that's a common finding that mm-hmm. I am seeing that a lot. And I think although we would love to work and support Black women-owned businesses, and Black women, just like other communities, support their own, like the Asian community, like the Jewish community, it's a little trickier with African-American women. But I digress. Another episode for that. Mm-hmm. This is all good, though. This is good. I could, that's definitely another episode. Okay, but going on. So you decide to go into the SaaS software. So you're coming out of being a VA. And when you were a VA and doing virtual assisting, were you primarily working with Black women at that time, or did you have more Caucasian women as well?
Most of my client base were Caucasian women.
Okay.
Working with them and supporting them and networking with them. Okay. That's how I built my business, mostly just networking, putting myself out there and just networking and being out. Those were the people that would gravitate to me and my business and see the need and the value in it.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So when you decided to do the new product, tell us what the product does. Like, you don't have to go into like extreme detail, but just so people understand what you're offering, so we can get into that like moment where, your coffee no cream moment.
Okay. So I sell a SaaS product. It is an all-in-one marketing and CRM tool. So just to give you guys some context, if you've ever used anything like a HubSpot or a Pipedrive or a not Salesforce, because that's different, ClickFunnels or things like that, it's a little bit more robust than some of those, but just think those terms. Most people have used those tools, so it's a similar product to that. I would say it's much better, but that's just me. But yeah, so when I was in the VA world, I was initially a generalized virtual assistant, and then I became a tech VA because I took a liking to or became an expert in systems and automation. And so I would go in, I would set up the tools for people because, again, they get overwhelmed. It's too much. They need someone to help them out. And so I created a process that would easily help me go through and set up different things, the different tools that I just mentioned for people. And then again, like I said, I got an opportunity to sell software. And I was like, okay, instead of me sending everyone to all of these other different softwares, I can have my own software to sell to people and set up for them. So that's how I got into it.
Super smart. Super smart. Okay, so I don't know where this is going to go. Like, I don't know what you're about to say, but okay, so give us an example of like the coffee no cream moment when you're running your business, or that thing that happened to you that was a direct response to you being African American.
Okay. So typically when people sign up for these softwares, they go online, sight unseen, don't know the CEO, They're not able to get in contact with this person, but you just go online, you put your credit card information in, and you sign up for it because you heard about it, because you've seen an ad or something like that, right? You don't know the specifics behind the system, how it's run, what backup system it's on or anything like that, right? You don't know that. I've done it too. You just go on, you sign up, you get your login information, and you go from there, right? So what I was finding is there's a lot of training and coaching that goes along with this system, right? Because especially if you're a newbie, you don't know how to do that. And so what I was told was do demos for people. So in a demo is, I set up an appointment, you come in, I show you around, like actually let you see this system in action. So you're not purchasing sight unseen. You see, you're talking to me. I'm the CEO of the company. I'm showing you around. And what happened was I was met with a lot of, and I did reach out to some African American women, some African American people, and I was met with these weird questions as to, was it safe, and, how many RPMs is in the background, and, they wanted to know all of this information that I don't think they would have asked anyone else. But for some reason, I don't think they could believe that I was the one behind the selling of this machine. And so I don't think that they could trust it. And it was a little bit disheartening. It was knocked my confidence down in what I was doing, because
before we get to that, because that's real. Like, the confidence killer of this is real. But so like, let's just talk about this a little bit, because you brought up the fact that so when somebody signs up for a SaaS product or any kind of technology, like if you're sending emails and use ActiveCampaign, or if you're using ClickFunnels, or if you're using, I don't know, whatever another one of them is, anything, right? If you're signing up for that, if you could build the tool yourself, you would build the tool. If you knew the questions to ask, like, what servers are you using? Are you using AWS servers? Are you on Google, services? What are you on Microsoft Azure? What are you, if you knew all of those things, right? Most likely you're probably going to have somebody build a tool themselves. You're not going to, nobody's asking those kinds of questions. Most entrepreneurial people are not asking those types of questions. So when you were met with those types of questions, were they, now you said you were primarily working with Caucasian women. Were you approaching African American women and they were doing the same? Because there's a lot of distrust that we have amongst each other, right? We always think that the white man's solution is better, and this even goes to, I could talk about this all day, a lot of times people might even come to us to do business because they feel like they're going to get a better deal, but they don't fully trust it. My dad talks about that all day long. He had an auto body shop for years and talks about how that even happened in that. So if they could do better, they would be at a more expensive tool. There's always something more expensive. But were you getting this pushback, all of these, probing questions on the back end of the software, or about the back end of the software, from us, from white women?
They're usually my white clients. They're like, sign me up. Because they have trusted me, and I've gained their trust in other ways because I was able to, because we worked together before. Right. So I didn't get as much questioning from them as I did from Black women that I would speak with.
Did you ever sign any Black women up?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, I did.
Okay.
I have great relationships, with black women, and the ones that I know and that trust me, yeah, they're gonna sign up.
Okay.
But it is like maybe someone that I was a little bit far removed from, or something like that, would be something, not as close to me. But yeah, I did have black women on the software for
Oh,
sure.
and just one more question about that. So, just trying to make sure we understand the full scope of what happened. Were you more, when you were more far removed from, say, a potential Caucasian customer versus a potential African American customer, you feel like the questioning would come more, or the pushback would come more from the African American? I don't know if there was ever that situation where you were far removed from a Caucasian customer as well as an African American customer, but you see the pushback even in those situations coming from more the African American side?
I would say it was a little bit more. It wasn't really apples to apples, in every situation, but there was a difference. And there was a noticeable difference in, if we don't know a person, or that kind of thing, then you're a little less trusting. And what's funny is I got into the SaaS industry from another black woman, right? And I followed her on social media, but we didn't have a super close relationship or anything like that. But she was a black woman. She was in this industry, and I wanted to support her. I didn't really know her. So I just have like a different take on it. I have a different view of it. I signed up immediately to bring my customers to her business because I was sending them to other softwares. So I have a different take on it. And I'm sure there are other women like me that have a different take on it. I just don't encounter them as much.
Yeah. No, that's real. That's real. Okay, so we're going to talk about, and you started to get onto that before I interrupted you to kind of probe a little deeper. So how, when this stuff happens, or maybe it happens several times, maybe not in just one single situation, but immediately in those situations or over a period of time, how does this kind of questioning, suspicion about what you do, how does that impact you? Like, what are you feeling in those moments when that happens? Like, what is your immediate reaction?
I wouldn't say defensive. Okay, I'm not gonna say that I become defensive, but it is a little bit of, it becomes, because I like to have good, honest, feedback, conversations. But in that moment, sometimes a guard may go up, and then it kind of knocks me off of my square, if that makes sense, where I'm not able to like really sell. I'm kind of like taken aback by it. Like, are you seriously asking me, this? I get it, but I'm a professional. And, if it's a question that I didn't know the answer to, I'll get back with you on that. And I would send a follow-up email. But I try not to take things personally in life, period. And so it's hard to get me down, I guess you could say. But, I notice it. It's in the back of my mind. It may make me say, I'm not going to reach out to that person because I already know what's going to happen or what the outcome is going to be of that conversation, which it kind of sucks. But, I just keep moving. I just keep pushing, but it can be disheartening. And,
Right.
Especially if you, in the back of your mind, it's like, oh my gosh, I wish I could make this a black woman software. I wish I could. You know what I'm saying?
Wish.
I wouldn't have any customers, but,
Yeah.
I wish, that kind of thing. So that's always in the back of your mind. But, it's a little disheartening, but I brush it off and keep moving.
So you had touched on your confidence in that because, especially when you're getting started in tech, it's like it's overwhelming for anybody because there's so much going on in tech and no one person has the full knowledge base, skill set to cover the breadth and the depth of tech as we know it today. Like everybody has their specialties and things like that. So it's really easy to get in your head, I think, about your capabilities, what you really can bring to the table if you're qualified. So you were saying like it messed with your self-confidence a little bit. Talk about that.
Well, when you're new to something, right, and you're excited about something, and it's like I'm coming in to change the world or to offer this new opportunity to people, and you're excited when you're met with the questioning and kind of like the objections. It's just like, is this personal to me? Because I know people sign up for software every day and they have no idea what's going on behind the scenes.
Right.
So is this personal to me, to my company, or do you really want to know these things? And so, yeah, it will knock your confidence down some.
Right.
And it did mine a little. And like at first I was like excited and like, I'm going to reach out to this person. I had a whole list of names. And then when you're met with those types of things, it's like, maybe I'm not going to call this person. Or maybe I'm not going to email out this person. Or I'm not going to reach out to this person, type of thing. So it probably held me back a little bit.
For how long do you think?
Initially, probably a couple months.
Do you still struggle with it, do you think?
Not as much. Not as much. I've learned a lot about marketing and being in this industry, and it's the numbers game. And maybe if I had more people to reach out to, even Black women, maybe
You hit one eventually, right?
Yeah. So, yeah, I market myself, and those who want to work with me, they do. And some of them are Black women, so I haven't given up full hope.
Oh, right. So when this happens, or when this has happened to you, like say you're reaching out to me, hey Erin, I've got this product, I want to sell you my product, and I start asking you all about the servers and the speed and the downtime and the uptime and this and that, and all these really crazy technical questions that they don't even know what it means, right? But
Right.
somebody probably told them to ask that or whatever. What do you do? What do you do in those moments? Like, how do you handle that? If
If I
being
know,
that person?
I'll say, it's hosted by Google, it's on Google servers, and if I know those types of things. If I don't, it's just like I'm not sure. I don't know, what you're getting at, with that, but I will go and do some research and get back to you on that. I'm very honest too, because the software that I sell is a white label version.
Right.
So and that's what I would try to assure people, that there are thousands of people who use this software, hundreds of thousands at this point. It's safe, it's secure. And, I have them, I'll give them information on the company that I white label through. They can go through and, check it out and see the reviews and do their own due diligence, so I'm open and I'm honest, but this is sold by me. It's my business, at the end of the day, and you would be working with me and purchasing directly from me.
Right. So it really just makes you stronger, better.
Yeah.
Better salesperson, better businesswoman, better marketer.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, yeah, I've been met with adversity all my life. My name is Shequana.
Right. Okay.
So, it is what it is, and I just keep it moving. I just keep moving along, keep chugging along. It's in that, I will say, like, one of the good things is you are going to do your research. So I know a lot more than I did when I first started, getting asked those hard questions. And like, maybe I do need to dig a little deeper and get into the ins and outs of it. So, there's always good things that come out of, the things that you may face. But, I became better and
Right.
I knew a little bit more. That's what I will say about Black women. We're gonna challenge you, and it
Yeah.
may make you better in the end. Even though
Always
I
makes you
wish
better.
people would have said, "Yeah, girl, I got you. Come on, sign up." But asking those hard questions and challenging me to go and look up and know a little bit more, it made me better, and now I'm an expert and certified in the software
Yeah.
and all that good stuff. So.
Awesome. So, is there anything differently that you would have done? And I'm not going to say in those specific moments because I think we've kind of talked about it as you've grown and evolved in this business. But is there anything differently you would have done going into the business with your mindset and how you approached things as a Black
Hmm.
woman?
Would I have done something differently? I guess I would have been a little bit more educated and been able to answer some of those questions, but I honestly don't think it would have made a difference.
Yeah.
I don't think it would have made a difference.
Yeah.
But maybe educated myself a little bit more, been a little bit more up on the ins and outs of the system,
Right.
as I am now. But I don't think that would have made a difference. I don't think that it would have, even if I would have known it.
I get so our takeaway is that well, you got a couple of takeaways, really. Really from when you started the business, but yes, of course you would have educated yourself more. But really, I think it's interesting, and I didn't expect it to go this way, but it's also how we've been received by our own African American sisters versus our Caucasian sisters. So that's something, right? And the education piece, like just making sure that you know your shit, basically. Nobody can take that away from you. Like my dad said, once you get the education, nobody can ever take it away from you, which is true. But, the confidence piece and like just pushing forward and working through that so that people can't knock you off your game, like you said, like knock you off your square. So what advice would you give, not just women in SaaS, let's broaden it up a little bit, women in tech who want to step out there, do their own thing. Maybe they're in a different career right now. They're feeling a little trepidation. They're feeling a little insecure. If you could tell them anything or motivate them, what advice would you give them on, stepping out on faith, stepping out on, courage? What advice would you give women Black women who are interested in making this leap into the entrepreneurial tech journey?
Two things I would have to say. The first one would be to equip yourself, educate yourself. That's one thing I'm going to always do before I get into anything. I am going to find out about that business. Now, I may not have known every single thing about the tech aspect of the software,
Right.
but I knew I had watched YouTube videos, and things like that on the software and, that kind of thing, knew how to sell it, knew the ins and outs of it as far as like what it offered and that. So, know what you're getting yourself into, know what it is that you want at the end of it. Like what's the outcome? Why are you getting into it? What do you want? Whether it's money, financial freedom, flexibility, whatever the case is, know that, because that's always going to help you in moving forward. And then the biggest thing for me, and I'm really seeing this is why I've been able to be successful, is don't wait. Like, what are we waiting for?
I don't know.
Like, don't wait. Like, we have these ideas, we have these things that are on our hearts and in our minds and spirits to do, and then we just sit and we just wait until the perfect time, until we know so much. What if I had waited? It let the confidence, knock me down and me say, oh, this may not be for me. No, don't wait. Get out there, do what it is that you're being called to do. The first thing that I ever did as an entrepreneur, I'm not doing it anymore. It's way in my review 17 years ago, but I started somewhere. And now I'm here,
Right. And you took your passion, like something you were passionate about, and you were able to weave it in to a career, a profession, a business. So that's awesome.
Yeah. So, like, just take that first step and the next step will come. You may not even know what that is, but take that first step. Don't wait. And with technology and YouTube and Google, I mean, there's really nothing holding you back. Like, everything is accessible at this point. The barrier to entry is gone. So, step out, sis.
This has been amazing. And I mean, I think you've really, I love the way the conversation went, because I didn't expect we were going to talk about the black woman reaction to you versus the white woman reaction to you. That is not where I expected it to go, which is always.
All of my clients right now are white.
Yeah, I have a black client that I picked up. That's a whole long story, but it's not going to be an easy one, and it's rare. And yeah, so I would love to just be that. I service black women in business, but I worked for a black business this past year, on the last year. Yeah. Every now and then for sure. But yeah, the majority of my clients are not African American, and that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. I wish it would be different, but
you know what? I kind of do. But all of my clients have always been my clients. Anytime I've worked with someone that wasn't really my client, that was kind of like forced because, okay, you're black, I'm going to go with you.
Right.
But it never worked out.
Never. Did they work out with somebody, or did they just?
I don't know, but a lot of the times there's drama, and again, kind of to what you're saying and all of that. I think that we have been taught to go against each other.
Yep.
Like, it's been ingrained in us. It is, groomed in us. So it's that. Like, my clients that are Caucasian, that are white women, they're just like, Shequana, do your thing. I know you're here to help me.
Right.
I'm not going to stand in the way of that. When I work with black women, it's always kind of like
they don't believe you sometimes, or
they put a little extra stank on it.
A little bit.
a little extra and but they don't trust you, they don't believe you, they're micromanaging you, all of that, and I just don't get that, and I don't want that.
No.
But I don't get that with, the white women that I work with. I don't get it,
One of the first, she was one of the first, because, my history, I had another business before this, but when I first started designing websites, I tried to do business with a black woman. It was a referral. And she never got me what I needed. Like, she never got to business. She had this whole plan or whatever, and it was so cheap back then. I think I charged her like $1,200 to do her site. And back then, I just wanted an opportunity. I just wanted a chance, to get some work under my belt. And this woman never sent. It was like, I think she had a jewelry collection, or I think it was jewelry. And she deposited me the money, and She never sent me the logo. She never sent me the images. So I really couldn't do anything. And I requested several things from her. I requested. And finally, like 6 months later, like this project is dead. But, you know, as a small business at that time, it's not like you're trying to take this person's money. It's like, yeah, you have the deposit, but you're working against getting the balance. Like you're planning against that. If you're in business, you know that. Like, okay, I've got this project, this money's coming. And so 6 months later, she sends me a message and was like, oh, well, I don't want you to do my website anymore. I want a refund. And I was just like,
girl,
right. So, and her son had just like graduated from law school, and I had never encountered that. So this woman, she just went kind of loco on me, like, you're a shyster and a fraud. And I'm like, but you never sent me anything we could still finish, da-da-da-da. Well, I want my money back. I was like, well, is there a problem? And no, I just don't want it. I just want my money back. So that is like, okay, she was looking around for some money that day.
right?
And that's where she thought she could get it from, you know. But like, anybody knows my story. I just come up off of a bankruptcy and da-da-da-da. I didn't, like, that money was gone. Like, it was like, whatever. This is 6 months ago. So I acted like I was going to give it to her. She signed some document, like, saying that she wasn't going to bother me anymore if I refunded her. And I think I worked it down to, like, needing to refund her so much money. But it never, I don't think I ever sent it to her because it was crazy. It was, like, literally crazy. And that was one black woman I worked with. I worked with another girl who, you know, it's always a lot of drama, like you said, a lot of times. Not always. And I'm, you know, I don't want it to be that way. But yeah, this is, I guess, a part of the conversation. It was drama. It was this, it was that. And then, you know, by the time she circled back with me, I've worked with a few. I'm just trying to think. Another one, just a lot of extra. Yeah. So I hate to say that. I don't even know if I'm going to put that in the video. Girl. Because I've had the same, just trauma.
Yeah, but everything has worked out for me how it's supposed to.
Yeah.
I love my clients. They love me back, and it makes my life easier, my work life easier. So I don't want to be stressed. So if you're going to bring stress, if you're black, white, purple, green, stay where you at.
Right? Well, and you're very likable and friendly, and you're this very, like, inviting, like, demeanor. Yeah. So, like, I feel, like, calm with you. No.
Yeah. And that's how I am with my clients. So, and I mean, like, I know my stuff. So if that doesn't work for you, hey, girl, we can just meet up at somewhere else or
go. Because God, just like God brought you, God will bring me another.
Yeah,
absolutely.
About your business.
Yep,
So,
please go away. Yes.
So it's worked out.
Yeah.
You know, but I do think it's a conversation we should have because, especially in this climate, we need to stick together. Like, there's no reason why I shouldn't have 100 to 300 black women on this software. For one, because the software is phenomenal. It is phenomenal.
But here's the deal. Like, I should be getting business from black women all day long or whatever. I even had a friend once say, we're no longer friends, but she was like, oh, why would anybody pay you to build a website? Anybody can build a website. I'm like, that's the mentality sometimes. It's like, no, anybody cannot do the custom API work, software development work and stuff like that we do. But okay, but that's the mentality. But I think that sometimes if you talk to a white business owner, I think it's so ingrained in us, like in our mental, that we somehow feel what we have to bring to the table is lesser than our white counterparts. Mm-hmm. You know, I talked to a kid. He used to work with me. I used to contract him out years ago. This kid, he was like 26 at the time, and he was a programmer. He's really, really good. I used him when I very first started out to help me like figure out some things and sort of teach me. And he's like, yeah, sometimes I just tell people it's $600 an hour. And I'm like, and I'm not getting it at that point. I'm like, well, why don't you just tell them you're busy? Like, if you just can't do it. He's like, because sometimes they'll pay it. And white boy can do that. White boy can say, it's $600 an hour and nobody will have any problem paying him, you know? But we aren't always afforded the same opportunities, and maybe eventually, like you say, when you've had clients over the years, because I had a client that we went from hourly pay to like a $1,700 retainer to a $3,000 retainer to a $10,000 retainer, you know, and upwards, right? But it took years to prove myself, and I don't even still think I truly did fully, because, you know, that was my whole Lexus Toyota client, you know, who said they were paying a Lexus price tag for Toyota level services. So, you know, it just is what it is. It is what it is. But I digress. So I just want to thank you so much for coming on today and sharing your experience with us. And it's been really eye-opening and actually opened the door for further conversation. So I'm sure we will be having you back. So tell everybody where they can find you if they want to check out what you're doing, your software, what you have to offer. Tell everybody where they can find you. And I'll also put it on the screen.
Thank you. So the name of my business, the name of my company is the Sava Group. And Sava is spelled S-A-V like Victor, A. It was abbreviated from my original virtual assistance business. It was called Chic Assist Virtual Assisting. And so I just shortened it and abbreviated or whatever. So the Sava Group is the name of my company. The business balance system software is sold by the Sava Group. And so that is the name of the software and the software company that I have. You can find me anywhere, the Sava Group, Business Balance Systems, either way. It's on Instagram, the_Sava_group, or you can find me on Facebook, the Sava Group, or Business Balance System on Instagram or on Facebook, either way. And then if you want to just connect with me personally, you can look Shequana Hughes up and you'll be able to find me there. You'll be able to see me and my 5 kids and my family and that kind of thing. I don't mind that at all. But yeah, that's how you get in touch with me. You can visit thesavagroup.com on, www.thesavagroup.com if you want to learn more about my business. So for anyone listening, just for the Coffee No Cream audience, you all can save $200 per month on your software cost by going to coffeenocream.com/Sava to get $200 off a month on your software.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you, Shequana. I really appreciate you being here. And thank you, everyone, for listening. And we will see you in the next one.
Bye. Bye, guys.